Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. This is the SJP Files Movie Edition, and I am your host, SJP, and today we're finishing up Zack Snyder's Justice League with Part 6. We're going to start off with Part 6, Something Darker. Now, Part 6 starts off with Lois Lane and Superman, or Clark at this point, dropping in on the Kent farm. And they're just standing there, and Lois says, you brought us here. And Superman clocks in, this is home. And she says, instead of the ridiculous line, what was the line in the theatrical cut? The line in the theatrical cut, I believe, was her saying, "You smell good." And him responding, "Did I not before?" And in this cut, it's you spoke, and he says, "Did I not speak before?" Which is a better line. Why is she smelling him like that? Why is she smelling the ever? Ugh. Some of the lines in the theatrical cut of this movie hurt me to my very soul. It's almost like Star Wars Attack of the Clones level bad. The line reading in that movie is horrendous. Not just the line reading in that movie. That the lines in that movie in general are terrible. But we're not here to talk about Star Wars. We'll get to Star Wars eventually. Oh, we will. Believe me. Believe you me. Eventually, we will get to Star Wars in this podcast. I will spend probably a couple of weeks during the summer doing a full Star Wars review of the entire franchise, movie by movie, pluck by pluck. You know the story, but man, some of my thoughts on some of these movies are going to leave you guys a little, feeling a little suspect about maybe my credentials, because I could tell you right now, The Rise of Skywalker is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. But we're gonna stop, because if I go down a Star Wars rabbit hole, I'm never gonna stop on this show. If I go down a Star Wars rabbit hole, it's gonna be a rough one for the rest of this podcast, and I don't want to do that. But go back to Justice League. Superman and Lois back on the Kent farm, with Superman kind of slowly remembering his life, his memories coming back slowly on the Kent farm, while Lois and Clark kind of just talk about it. And then this next scene, I love this scene. This is a scene where Bruce brings the Justice League essentially to the Batcave. And he introduces everyone to Alfred. And Bruce, and Bruce introduces Alfred as the person he works for. Badass. I love Arthur's line in here. It's badass Alfred. I think Alfred is shocked at this moment to see Bruce have friends. Bruce has friends now. So after their satellite debacle, after Bruce's satellites scan the planet, they find the town. I forgot what the town is. It starts with a P. And a nuclear town is a nuclear accident happens, and they find the town. They find what they're going to do with it. They find what it is, where it is, and now they're essentially discussing what to do with the mother boxes, how they stop Steppenwolf, and how they stop him is actually quite simple. Cyborg chimes in. He's going to have to plug into the Unity one-on-one, fuse with it, and tear it apart from the inside out. Well, split it momentarily so that they can break it apart. And you have Diana trying to talk him out to it. And Victor says, You're the one who wanted me to embrace my powers. This is me embracing my powers. So you get the classic line from the trailer, I don't care how many demons on how many worlds. I love that line. And then we cut back to the Kent farm where Lois sees Clark outside in the fields, in the farm fields. And he's kind of back to his Superman self, where he says, I'll take that as a yes, the ring that you're wearing. And I'm assuming it's been a couple of months since Superman's died. I would say 3 months, maybe. About 2 to 3 months since Superman's died. Oh, excuse me. Had to take a drink of water. Get a couple months since Superman's died. Because apparently in the, what is it? I think it was the Vanity Fair article. Might have been the Vanity Fair article where Zack Snyder says that Lois in this movie is in fact pregnant. So the fact that she's not showing shows that it's only been a little bit since, Clark died. And now he's back, not quite raring to go, but they share a tender moment. And then Martha shows up, have a big family hug, and then Clark says they want to be back for a reason, and I got to find out what that is. So he's essentially heading off to the Kryptonian ship. We get some moments. Cyborg attempting to fix the troop carrier, and then you get a conversation between Aquaman and the Flash, which was a good conversation that shows, Aquaman, Arthur, actually gives a shit in this moment. Throughout the movie, he's been kind of a dick, but you can see that he actually cares. He kind of sympathizes with Victor losing his family. Sympathizes with Victor essentially losing his family. And then we get a scene with Diana and Bruce instead of that scene after in the theatrical cut where Bruce is kind of like popping his shoulder back into place, and you can see all the bruises that he has when him and Diana kind of have like a little conversation. That scene, totally a Joss Whedon scene, thank God, because I wasn't overly fond of that scene either. I didn't think it was a bad scene, I just wasn't fond of it. Bruce explains to Diana, doesn't explain in detail, he just gives a little, blow by blow, a little bit of detail about the nightmare that he had. Doesn't give her a full detail of it. And in an interview with Zack Snyder, Zack said that Flash's, when Flash enters the Speed Force and rewinds time a bit, it's giving the shock waves in the Speed Force, essentially in the time-space continuum, is what's allowing Cyborg and Bruce to view glimpses of the future. Of a possible future, I'm assuming, not the future, but we get Bruce and we'll get Alfred calling to Bruce, telling Bruce there's something you need to see, and you see the troop carrier, finally repaired, ready to go, and the troop carrier is the troop carrier has essentially crossed in to the Justice League. Troop carrier appears in front of the Justice League. Cyborg fixed it. He says it's nature to fly, and Bruce says it's nature to fly, and Bruce says so is yours. And we get why, and Alfred's asking Bruce why he's so optimistic that Superman will come, and Bruce says, I have faith, which is weird for Batman, but it is. And then we jump from that scene to Steppenwolf essentially uniting the three mother boxes, as them to synchronize, and the shockwave of the initial coming together of the mother boxes sends out a shockwave throughout the world that's felt by the Amazonians, the Atlanteans, a little bit by Alfred. And then we see the plan that the Justice League comes up with, where the League itself attacks, where Wonder Woman, Batman, and Aquaman attack, while Cyborg jacks into the mother boxes while Flash runs around generating energy to essentially jumpstart, pour the power into Cyborg that would allow him to jump essentially into the mother boxes. And we do get a funny scene here where Aquaman asks how Barry's going to help Cyborg get into the mother boxes, and Barry says, with the power of love, which is, it's a funny scene. Instead of the scene with we get this scene instead of the scene with the lasso scene when Aquaman sits on the lasso in the theatrical cut, which I did like that scene. I'm not gonna lie, that was a good scene. I was a fan of that scene. I was very much a fan of that scene when Aquaman sits on Wonder Woman's lasso and just starts spitting truth to everybody in a way that's kind of obnoxious, but very true. He kind of hits on Wonder Woman, and wasn't a fan of that part. But after the scene's over and they've discussed their plan, we jump to Superman on the Kryptonian ship, and what you hear next is a dialogue of his two fathers. You get some of Jor-El's speech from Man of Steel, and we get some of Jonathan Kent's speech from Man of Steel. We get those two speeches kind of intertwined in a scene while Superman's walking through the ship, and his various suits are showing themselves to him, and then he stops after he walks past his traditional red and blue suit, and another compartment opens, and we don't see what the suit color is. But if you watch the trailers or anything like that, then you know this is the black and silver suit. Or, yeah, like the black and silver suit from, like, the comics. And we get a similar... And then we get, like, a similar Man of Steel, him walking out of the ship in costume, about to take flight for the very first time. Now, the Man of Steel Superman flight scene is one of the greatest comic book scenes ever created. And it's a scene I go back to on a regular basis. I watch that scene maybe at least like once a month. It's on par with the, Thor arrives in Wakanda in Infinity War. It's on par with the Captain America scene on the train station in Infinity War. It's on par with later in this movie where the Flash rewinds time. It's my favorite scene in this movie. I'll get to that when it happens. It's on par with the Avengers Endgame. It's like I said, it's on par with the Endgame Avengers Assemble scene. I fucking love that scene. It's on par with Iron Man's first battle. It's on par with Thor getting his power back, and Thor. It's on par with actually it's on par with the Winter Soldier scene, with the fight in Winter Soldier on the highway scene. I love that scene. Absolutely love that scene. It's on par with the Avengers scene in the very first Avengers movie. It's on par with the Avengers scene in Age of Ultron when their come together moment. It's a fantastic scene. This scene is a little less than that. You get Superman kind of, when he's ready to fly, sometimes you get the rocks kind of revolving around him, shaking, levitating off the ground, and then him going up into the air. You see cracks in the ground, and Superman, and you hear the Man of Steel, the Superman theme, which I love. It's one of the best themes for any character. It's an amazing theme. It's better than Wonder Woman's theme. It's better than Batman's theme. I don't think it's better than Aquaman's theme, because I love Aquaman's theme. It's an amazing theme. It's absolutely fantastic, but nothing really compares to the Superman theme. Maybe the Avengers theme is a great theme for me. I think it's a really good theme. But get back into the movie. Batman drops off the rest of the Justice League outside of the barrier, and then he attacks the force field, hoping to break inside and destroy the antenna, allowing the force field to drop down, allowing the rest of the team to go in And after his first attack with one missile fails, he just launches every missile on the troop carrier, gives a temporary hole that he eventually busts through. He destroys the antenna, and the shield falls, and he ends up crashing in the troop carrier, and then we get like the Batmobile scene to end all Batmobile scenes when Batman busts out of the troop carrier with his Batmobile and just starts lighting up parademons left and right. Just starts lighting them up. Parademon here, a parademon there, just completely lighting them up with automatic weapons, with miniguns, with like a rail gun. I'm assuming that is. I don't know what caliber that is. It's a fucking cannon, on maybe just a cannon. Also, quick heads up. Did you know? Heads up. When we talk about weapons, did you know it's actually legal to own a rocket launcher in the United States? Did you know that? It's legitimately legal to own a rocket launcher if you can wait like a year for the ammunition. It's legal to own a grenade launcher. It's legal to own, for a private citizen to own a minigun. A minigun that shoots 4,000 rounds per minute. Do you know that? It's wild. It's wild. Gotta love American consumerism, baby. You just gotta love it. Really? Anyway, let's get back to the movie. Sorry, I didn't mean to get all political there for a second. It's just something that hit me after I was listening to another podcast. Well, watching a podcast. Anyway, Bruce jumps out after the troop carrier crashes, and he just goes ham on all these parademons, just blowing up buildings. Cause in this part, there is no Russian family. There is no Dos Vidania. There's no Superman carrying a fucking building, or the Flash pushing like a 1940s pickup truck down the road. There's no Russian family. No. This place was in a radiated wasteland, and all we're dealing with, yes, this place is a complete irradiated wasteland, and all we're dealing. Sorry about that. This is quite simple. All we're dealing with is the parademons with enough destruction as we can possibly hold, and Batman is just reveling. I could watch this scene over and over and over again. It's not my favorite scene in the movie. My favorite scene in the movie comes slightly later in part 6, but this is a fantastic scene when Batman's going through this town and just wrecking building and building and building just killing parademon after parademon after parademon. And then we get the Justice League when he's about to get, got by a couple of the parademons. They're just swarming the Batmobile, and there's too many left. And then you get Diana right after the parademons have ripped off some of his guns, and they tear open like the canopy for the truck for the Batmobile, and right before they're about to jump on Bruce, Diana comes in out of nowhere with her theme, her Amazonian theme, cuts one of the parademons in half, clotheslines the other one, and then Bruce, and then you get the iconic, the whole team together scene, the whole slow motion. Right as they're about to break through the building, you get all 5 of them at this point breaking through the building. You get the slow motion side. If you remember that shot from the beginning of Age of Ultron, that shot when they're all together in that one slow motion scene, I think that might have been a slight fuck you to Joss Whedon. I think so. I think that was a slight fuck you to Joss Whedon. And then you get Aquaman jumping on the Batmobile, and then it's a very similar scene to the scene where he's in the air, but it's not the sky isn't red. It's just a regular nighttime sky, and Aquaman is just in the air killing parademons, and he's falling and falling and falling, and then Cyborg catches him, and instead of saying, I forget what he says in the theatrical cut, but in this one he just says, "You're welcome," and Aquaman says, "My man," chucks his trident at one of the parademons and surfs him down. Just like in the theatrical cut. Most of this fight is very similar Just the coloring is just the coloring is very different. But Cyborg, once again, has a hell of a lot more to do in this scene. I don't know how much destruction he causes in the original, in the theatrical cut, but in this scene, it's very much the same. It's better. He just has more to do. His line work is better. And while the other members of the Justice League are inside dealing with Steppenwolf, while Diana and Arthur are fighting Steppenwolf, and Wally's jacked in. Not Wally, I'm sorry. While Cyborg is jacked in to the mother boxes, Bruce, Batman, is outside, bodying. He's just bodying parademons, one after the other, just wrecking them, hitting them with explosives. And we get this one scene where you see the Aquaman, you got that from, I think it was the first or second trailer when Zack Snyder was still doing this movie. In the theatrical cut, you got that one scene where Aquaman's kind of in midair, and he throws his trident and just skewers these two or three parademons. And as Cyborg, Flash, and Aquaman arrive at one point, Aquaman tells Barry, "We got this," and Barry begins to start building up energy while Bruce is once again just handling the parademons on the outside. That is his job in this moment. His job is to handle the parademons while Arthur and Diana handle Steppenwolf. Barry builds up energy, and Victor jacks into the Unity. That is his job, because he can't go toe to toe with Steppenwolf, but he's destroying the guns, like the laser miniguns that they have, protecting this outlook. And then after this, we cut back to Alfred fixing. I'm assuming it looks like Alfred working on his car, or working on Bruce's car, and we get Superman in the black and silver suit, showing up to Alfred, pretty much asking Alfred where they are. And the arrival of Superman in this movie is so G. Is so much G than his arrival in the theatrical. His arrival in the theatrical cut is ridiculous. It's I forget what he says in the theatrical cut while Steppenwolf is about to go at Cyborg while his back is turned, and Superman says, I'm a big fan of liberty and justice, and oh good God, it's horrendously terrible. And we get the shock waves from Arthur's trident. It's kind of amazing, plus the sonic vibrations from Victor's sonic cannons, essentially. And I love the effect of Arthur's trident. I don't know when this trident began. I don't know where Zack got the idea from, because I don't remember it from any of the comic books, but I like it. I like it a lot. And it seems like I don't think every Atlantean can do it, but I know Arthur can do it. But we get Diana coming in with her music. Once again, if you notice it might get annoying, but if you don't notice it, it doesn't bother you. Then Steppenwolf essentially is trying to taunt Diana, and you get Diana charging at Steppenwolf, and the three-way fight begins. They're just essentially trying to get Arthur and Diana are essentially trying to get Steppenwolf out of Victor's way so he can jack himself into the Unity and begin essentially hacking the thing. And you get a fight that I actually really like. This is a really great choreographed fight between those three, and Barry still on the outside building up energy, just keeps going and going, and Victor is about to jack into the Unity. And after Steppenwolf momentarily pulls himself away from Diana and Arthur, he stops Cyborg from jacking into the Unity momentarily, and Cyborg jumps out, and Steppenwolf and Diana start to fight, and Steppenwolf once again taunting Diana with the death of her sisters, the Amazons, and Arthur and Diana are fighting repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly, and Victor chucks in Jackson to the Unity, and Arthur and Diana are kind of buried under some rubble. And as Victor is about, and as Steppenwolf is essentially about to cut Victor's head off, Superman drops in out of nowhere. Steppenwolf's coming down with his axe, and Superman drops out of nowhere. The axe hits Superman in the chest. The Superman drops in. He doesn't catch the axe. He doesn't punch the axe. No. He just stands there and takes it. And one of like the G'est lines in this whole movie, as Steppenwolf says for Darkseid, Superman says, "I am not impressed." He didn't say. He just says, "Not impressed." Blows on his axe, freezes it, and then breaks it, lifts himself up, and then proceeds to beat the ever-loving shit out of Steppenwolf. I mean, he crushes Steppenwolf. Crushes him like I don't think anyone's ever been crushed in a movie before. I mean, he destroys him. This is not a fair fight. Not even a little bit. And none of this truth, justice, and the American way and all that crap. And Superman just beats Steppenwolf's ass. And after Arthur and Diana dig themselves out of the rubble, you get the "all right" from Arthur. And Diana hits Steppenwolf with the shockwaves from her gauntlets. And Arthur hits Steppenwolf with a shockwave from his trident. And Superman puts Steppenwolf in the wall of the silo, flies up, and then flies back down, and just proceeds. Oh my god. Hits him. Boom. Steppenwolf lands on the ground. Punch again. Heat vision. Cuts off one of Steppenwolf's horns. Oh my god. He's just beating the shit out of Steppenwolf right now. This ass whooping. This is one of the greatest ass whoopings I ever seen in my life. And then we have Paratrooper Bob taking shots at Barry Allen, and it's like Parademon Bob is just like keeping an eye on Barry Allen and happens to get lucky, and he doesn't hit Barry, he hits right in front of Barry, and Barry gets hurt. And Barry's like, he's saying he got the wind knocked out of it, and he is obviously in a ridiculous amount of pain. And Superman is just pounding on Steppenwolf. Oh my god. And then a boom tube opens, and we get Darkseid standing there next to Desaad, and as the Unity begins to come closer and closer and closer to completion, we get a boom tube opens, and we have Darkseid standing there with Desaad. Next to him, Granny Goodness, Gretchen Good, aka for all of you who watch Young Justice. Perfect scene. And then we have the Unity as Victor is calling for Barry. The Unity synchronizes. It's too late. It blows, killing all of them, and Barry essentially like jumps his way out of time momentarily as the Unity explodes, and we get the coolest scene in this movie. We get the absolute coolest scene. I've seen this particular scene like 20 times in the last week. I've seen this scene like 20 times. I have this scene open on one of my tabs almost at all times. It's just there. It's open on one of my tabs right now. And as Barry is still in pain, and he's finally healed up from the shot he just took, starts talking to himself. All right, you got to break the rule. You got to break the rule. You got to go faster than the speed of light, far beyond the speed of light. You got to break the rule, Barry. Come on. You got to do it now. And he just hits this. And you get that like flowing motion he does, and he just, boom, right off into the explosion. And the music is fantastic. The visuals are fantastic. And Barry essentially just starts talking to his dad. you remember early in the movie where Barry's dad just says he just wants his son to be one of the best, and Barry says your kid was one of the best, one of the absolute very, very best. And Barry jumps in, and you just see time rewinding little by little, and the path he's walking on just begins to reform, and at this point he's totally in the Speed Force now. This path begins to reform and reform and reform little by little until eventually just starts catching up with him, and is essentially and to the point where the path starts to flow in front of him. The path starts to create itself in front of him while he's still running. While he's still running, the path starts to rewind in front of him. Instead of him just like walking in the Speed Force or wherever this place actually is, you get the concrete and the earth and the lights and the buildings all jumping back in. And then you get the silo kind of coming back to himself, and Barry starts talking, make your own future, This scene is fantastic. I don't understand how you could see this scene and take this scene out of the movie. This scene is like iconic level Superman, like superhero shit. I don't understand how you could see this scene and take it out of the movie. I don't get that. I just don't get it. I don't get how you could see this particular scene and take it out of the movie. And then you have the other members of the Justice League essentially reconstituting after they were essentially blown into smithereens, and Barry touches Cyborg, imparts all that energy, and Cyborg gets jumped into the mother box where he's standing there in his, Gotham City U Letterman jacket. Been talking, I need some water. Oh, 1 second. Sorry. Oh, God. And then we get Victor talking to his parents, and a version of himself which represents the three mother boxes. They're trying to convince Victor that the mother boxes are trying to convince Victor that they can fix him amidst all this fucking destruction, make him whole again. And in the transition, you can see that Victor goes from the version of himself that he used to be to the version of himself that he actually is, signifying that he accepts himself. And at this moment, he says, "I'm not broken," and then starts ripping the mother boxes apart and says, "I'm not alone." I love this scene. Another one. Jesus Christ, how could you see this scene and take it out? I don't understand. A lot of this shit makes no sense to me, that you could see this scene and take it out of the movie. Makes zero sense to me. And as he's ripping apart the mother boxes, he calls Superman over, and instead of when they rip apart the mother boxes, there's no cheesy dialogue of, "Is this gonna kill me? I'd really like to not be dead." And there's no joking about, "I work with children," or that hurt, or "I don't understand the physics of how my toes hurt," which in the moment was funny, but as I've watched it again, don't like it. And then as Steppenwolf is standing there with his broken armor and like half of his head thrown off, you get Aquaman stabbing him in the back with his trident, and then Superman punching him, and then you get the scene where Wonder Woman jumps off and she cuts his head off as he flies through the boom tube. Now this jump off point, if you remember this in the movie, where that scene, that motion is actually used in the theatrical cut, but is not to cut Steppenwolf's head off. It's to destroy Steppenwolf's axe, and then Steppenwolf, this is a so much far better ending for Steppenwolf. And then he gets like carried away in the theatrical, he gets like carried away or eaten by the parademons or some fucking nonsense. And in this, they kill him, cut this dude's head off, and his body flies through the boom tube, and his head falls at Darkseid's feet. Darkseid steps on his head and crushes the other horn that was on the side of his face, and you could see that Darkseid's like, okay, this is the planet that I want. This is the planet that contains the anti-life equation, and these are the people. These are the guardians of this world who just killed Steppenwolf. These are the people I'm gonna have to get through to get what I want. And it's like the biggest, and it's like it's the come at me moment. And you get, and after the boom tube closes, Darkseid growls, and Desaad in the corner lets him know, I told you Steppenwolf would fail. And you think that Darkseid might, vaporize Steppenwolf in this moment. Darkseid's no. You said you failed. You said he would, and he did. Now that the and Desaad asks him, what are we going to do now that the mother boxes are destroyed? How are we going to retrieve your great prize? Darkseid says anti-life is found, Desaad. We will not stop until we possess it. Ready the Armada. We travel the old way. We will use the old ways, and you get this, like, it looks like they're in a church, and it's this church with beautiful stained glass windows depicting, like, Darkseid and Apocalypse, and you get, like, this army of parademons, and you get Granny Goodness, who looks tall as fuck. He looks taller than Desaad here. But you get that scene, and then, bam, you get the incredibly dope standing together scene as, Superman helps up Batman out of the silo. And you get the standing scene where they're all standing together. Superman, the 6 members of the Justice League, Cyborg, Flash, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, just standing there. You get a fist bump from the Flash and Cyborg. You can tell they're pretty cool right now. You get, like I said, you get the cool, one-shot superhero scene, where they're all just like standing there, posing, waiting for the cameras, and then the troop carrier comes, and that is the end of part 6, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's the end of part 6. And next we get the epilogue, which I will do in another episode, coming out later today after, because I got a couple things to do. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to the SJP Files Movie Edition. I am your host, SJP, and I will be back with the epilogue later, probably later today, unless something comes up. Thank you very much, and see you next time.